In the last video, we looked at the factual matrix of TechMed versus Mexico. In this video, we'll be looking at the jurisdictional issues that came up. Basically, the claimant in this case was asking compensation for the economic and commercial loss of the business activities, because now INE had refused to renew the permit. So, without an operating license, the landfill cannot be operated. So, that was a contention. The claimant in this case was saying that all of this happened because of the change in political climate. In July 1997, there was local elections held in municipality, and a new mayor was elected. So, the contention of TechMed was that when there was a change in the political climate, so the new authorities who got elected they were even encouraging the local population to protest against the landfill. And INE had refused to renew the permit only because of this political pressure, and not because of any lapse on the part of CITRIR. I mean, CITRIR had been earlier fined by Profepa and everything. So, Profepa, the Mexican agency, had fined it, and that fine can be considered to be a minor penalty. The reason being, the law prescribes a maximum limit, and the fine that was imposed on the claimant was much less than the maximum one. So, we can consider that to be a minor one. That and the claimant interestingly made another argument that if at all there has to be a refusal of renewing the permit, that has to come from Profepa, and Profepa had not done so, and therefore INE does not have the authority to pass a resolution that declined their renewal request. Now, this is the background to what is the claim that they have made. Now, the fact here is the INE's resolution was passed on 28th November 1998, but the BIT came into force only on 18th December 1996. If we look at the two earlier letters from the INE where the unilateral change in terms and conditions of the license had happened, that was before the BIT came into force. So, essentially the question is with regard to what are the things that are protected under the BIT, or to what extent or to what activities to what measures of the government that can be brought within the scope of BIT became a contested issue. Now, on the first perusal of the BIT, we can see that the BIT has a retrospective application clause which states that investment made before the entry into force of this BIT is also covered by the BIT. When it says it's also covered by the BIT, then can the claimant bring a claim for those letters where unilateral change in terms had happened. So, that is where the tribunal looked at the language of the provisions and stated that since the language of the provision, that is the BIT protection standards, used a future looking connotation, that is the words that were used in these BITs were shall guarantee, shall protect, shall not hinder. Since it had a future looking connotation, the tribunal stated that the BIT protections will be applicable only for the events that had happened after the BIT came into force. Now, with that, the claimant was sort of making a claim that the resolution which is passed after the BIT came into force in 1998 is something that gets covered, and then that should be looked at from the expropriation perspective. The another thing is, since the time dimension was something that went against the claimant invoked the MFN clause of this BIT in order to rectify the time dimension of the BIT, and they wanted to borrow provisions from Austria Mexico BIT. That is where the tribunal stated that they cannot do so because the claimant relied on Maffesini case, but the tribunal said that they cannot do so because Maffesini case relates only to borrowing procedural aspects from another BIT, and the time dimension aspect and all of that relates to substantive provisions, and therefore the claimant cannot be allowed to borrow substantive provision from other BIT. Please note that this case is decided in 2003, In subsequent case, White Industries versus India, where we can see that the tribunal has allowed for borrowing a provision from another BIT, India Kuwait BIT, in the context of India Australia BIT also. But in this case, the tribunal said that using MFN you cannot borrow a substantive provision. But also Mexico was looking at certain aspects of the Spain Mexico BIT itself. There was this appendix, and appendix lay down certain requirements, like within 3 years the claim has to be made and all of that. So they wanted the tribunal to rule on them, but tribunal said that it will not make any determination with regard to that. If at all it makes any determination, that will be superfluous, because all the claims to which this appendix provisions are applicable is something beyond the scope of the BIT, because they said that BIT protections will be prospectively applicable ever since the BIT came into force. Now this is the jurisdictional aspect of it. Now the MFN claim is rejected, and Mexico's contention of certain requests to be fulfilled also, the tribunal refused to rule on that. Now one other thing that the Mexico contended was, Mexico stated that it is not the permit that that the CITRAR holds. Whatever was sold by Promatara, the decentralized agency of the municipality, that only related to physical assets of the landfill and not the intangible rights. This is where the tribunal had to look at various documents. There was one promise to sell contract, and then there was a subsequent agreement signed between the parties which related to the payment, determining how the payment should be made. And also looked at the board meeting statements, audited statements and all of that. Then tribunal came to the conclusion. Now, one of the provision stated that this CITRAR should operate the landfill within 1 year, and then the municipality will extend its support in order for CITRAR to operate the landfill. In case if the landfill is not operated for more than 1 year, then the landfill will revert back to Promatara. So in that context, the tribunal looked at that, and the tribunal also looked at the wording of the letter which the municipality had written to INE. If you remember from the facts video, I mentioned that CITRAR made a claim to INE for operating license that was supported by the municipality as well. So in that support letter, municipality had written that change the name. Please change the name in the operating license from CCPIH, the decentralized agency of municipality, to CITRAR. So there also it is written change in the name. So reading all this together, and 24 million pesos were paid out of 34 million pesos. Claimant's contention was 24 million pesos was for the operating license. And all of that, the tribunal came to the conclusion that the landfill was sold with its physical assets as well as intangible assets as well. So now it had concluded that it has jurisdiction. Then it went ahead to sort of look at the merits claim. So in the next video, we will look at the merits claim. Primarily, there were two issues that that came up before the tribunal. One was the question relating to expropriation. The other one was the question relating to fair and equitable treatment clause. So in the next video, we will look at what were the claims by the claimant with regard to the question of expropriation, and how did the tribunal decide that issue.